What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you on a Friday. Hope everybody has had a great week and are ready to relax going into the weekend. Weather should be pretty nice across most of the state of Florida. We're going to take a look at that in part two of the show coming up. Watching the Tropics, of course, really for the first time in weeks. There's that buzz popping up again, and we've highlighted that potential area that we gave that homework assignment last night, though we're going to keep an eye on one certain area. If you missed the show last night, over the next couple of minutes, we're going to talk about that. There are starting to get to be some wilder model runs, and while we're not going to pay attention to the singular model runs, we're going to hold on to looking at one kind of area over the next couple of weeks to see if something actually pops. This is why it's the homework assignment to see if the traditional math and physics models beat out the artificial intelligence models. So we're going to get all into that coming up in a couple of minutes. So post in the comments where you're tuning in from. Richard, good evening. Hope you're doing well in Ormond by the Sea. Very nice day today. Sunny and dry Ormond by the Sea. What's going on, my friend? Welcome to the chat room. Melissa, good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. All right, do me a favor if you're watching on YouTube or on News 6 Plus, post in the comment section where you're tuning in from, and we are about to get to it, of course. Want to start with the named storm that we have out there. It's still doing nothing. It's still not coming to Florida. It's still not coming to the United States. But here we go. This is Tropical Storm Gabrielle. It's a little weird-looking thing. It's not look organized. It is getting into a better environment, and it is expected to strengthen. Could become the next hurricane of the 2025 hurricane season, but it should stay to the east of Bermuda as well. We'll zoom in on this track so you can see a little bit better. We talked about that it was likely going to stay east of Bermuda, and there it is. Hurricane Center does have this thing getting to Category 2 status as it works up and then out away. So hopefully this is going to be, it should just be a non-issue. I'm not even showing the graphic. Holy cow. If I'm ever talking and I don't have the graphic up, let me know. It's one of those things. It's like a Friday brain, I guess. But there is the latest. You're probably wondering, what am I talking about? But that's the latest on Tropical Storm Gabrielle. Again, expected to become a Category 2 hurricane as it kind of button hooks east of Bermuda. So that is what we need to start with first, of course, because I want to just tell you that's the name storm. This is the other way. There's Gabrielle in the green. It's fending off the drier air, and it is moving into a better environment. This is the next wave that we're watching. Hurricane Center gives it a low opportunity for development. In most of the ensembles that I'll show you in the next couple of minutes, they have this thing kind of dying out before it. Some of them have it not even making it completely to the islands. So again, it's just that same kind of deal again. And then again, keep posting in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you have any questions, I will try to get to them before we get to the commercial break. That's coming up in about 5 minutes. If not, then I will get them on the other side of the break. So I'll be checking the chat and everything like that and doing my best to answer your questions tonight. So that's where we're looking in the short term. Now, in the long term, I showed this on Tuesday. The Climate Prediction Center issues their own kind of longer range forecast, and the dates are wrong on that. It should be this is from October 1st through October 7th. I don't know why my dates changed on me, but this is from October 1st through October 7th, and this is what has kind of the attention, the Central America area, for the possibility of some tropical development as we get to the last day or so of September into the first week of November. So that's what we're kind of dealing with and looking at. Again, there are no immediate threats to Florida. I want to be absolutely clear about that. But there's starting to be like the little buzz again on social media, and it might be because people are bored that are trying to post things on social media. But I do think things are lining up on a large scale to get something to try to develop down there. 'Tis the season for that. Unfortunately, Florida has become all too familiar with October storms recently, and we might have to do some dodging again. So here's the deal. All of these lines mean something to us. So I'm going to bust out the telestrator, And what we have going on here, this big turn, that is Gabrielle. So that's a non-issue. I'm going to back this up a little bit because I'm going to show you what happens to that low chance wave over Africa. And there it is. Right there. There's not a ton of ensemble support for it. Okay, let's take this out into the future. Some of it, there's more of it grows, and then it kind of now gets out here. Okay. We're going to take this all the way out to the end of the run. That's 240 hours out. So that's 10 days. It's going to take us until the morning of the 29th of September. So kind of right in that peach area. I'll go back. Right in that peach area that is highlighted by the Climate Prediction Center. Again, this is where we'd be looking anyway. So I want to preface it by that. That's exactly where we're watching. That's the European ensemble, what I just showed you. We're going to go to the GFS ensemble. And it shows the same kind of deal with a couple of, oops, sorry, didn't grab my telestrator. That is Gabrielle turning. That's the secondary one kind of down here with those members then getting up there. And then there's this hodgepodge down in Central America. Both the Euro and GFS have also hinted at something trying to get down here. Whether it develops down here and moves up or comes up and over. So that's going to be interesting to watch as well. The GFS has it like moving north towards the Bahamas. Now, the Bahamas were one of our hotspots coming into the 2025 hurricane season. They thankfully have not seen much. Of course, Aaron turned just north of the Turks and Caicos, leaving them alone, thankfully. So we'll see if that comes into fruition. Again, that was one of the hotspots that we identified with the Western Bahamas. Hopefully that does not, we continue to avoid anything there. But then the GFS ensemble's also on board for that cluster in the Western Gulf and the Bay of Campeche region out that way. The Google DeepMind AI has been super bullish. I mentioned in the comment section, every time I post I post the live stream at about anywhere from 5 to 6:30 every night. So look for that. And get the comment section started by talking about what we're going to break down in tonight's video and tonight's live stream. And the theme of this one was the AI models are bullish on something in the Western Caribbean. And this is the Google DeepMind AI. And you see that right there. That's obviously what we don't want to see, but that's through September 30th. And then there's another African wave. And you see that support grows, not one, but two. And I mean, again, that would match up pretty much identically to where the Climate Prediction Center has drawn their blobs. I mean, that's, again, where you're looking this time of the year anyway, but still, we saw this last year. It's rare to have waves still rolling off of Africa robustly in the month of October. So there we go. So I wanted to show you that before the break. Again, if anybody has have any questions, post those in the comment section. I'm going to be kind of going through during our 3-minute break here, and then I'll answer some on the way back before we get into the Florida forecast portion of the show. But I wanted to get that out there because this is going to be the homework assignment over the weekend, and then especially as we move through next week. We're going to keep on checking up on to see if we have more Euro and GFS ensembles coming online, because if they are, then the AI model is definitely onto something. The AI model has done pretty well. It absolutely killed 91L, and that was the only one that did it. So Richard brings up a good point, and I love this, and I'm with you on this. He says, I trust real human beings making predictions of storm movements over any AI. And I am 1,000,000% with you. The one thing that AI really helps, has anybody ever heard of analogs before? Using the past to predict the future. That is essentially what the AI is doing. So it can do that. It can go through the database a lot faster than humans. So what that means is, given the atmospheric conditions that are put in to the Google DeepMind AI in this case, and they're using the observations around the world that go into the actual European model. So the database has that, and it's like, okay, we had high pressure here on this day. We have high pressure here on this day, low pressure over here. Now let me go back in my data bank and find every single point that I have going back to like 1950, I think is what's in the Google DeepMind AI. And let me see if we got a storm with that. So that's the one good thing about AI, where it's not going to dictate, kind of like your chat GPT or whatever, how you can have a conversation with it. It kind of just helps us look at the analogs, and we can make a decision. So if like the Google AI is the only one saying something, maybe it's on to something, because maybe in years past it looked like this, and we either did or did not get a storm. It did very well with Invest 91L, that wave that everybody hyped up. It was the only one that killed it. So it earned a little bit of respect from me there, but I completely agree. You never want to make a decision based on AI, because as you know, um, AI can also be wrong. Very, very wrong if anybody uses ChatGPT. All right. I am going to take a quick break. Donna, if you're still with us, that is a great question. I'm going to answer that on the other side of this break. It technically, part of it came from Africa, and I'll show you what I'm talking about coming up in just 3 minutes. What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges back with you. CW Sidham says, nice jams. I love the music. Thanks for sticking with me through the break. Okay, so we have a couple of comments on Milton. Donna's asking, wasn't Milton our October surprise from the Western Gulf last year? It was. So it was that weird storm that came from west to east. It's like the first time since the early 1900s that we had a storm take a track similar to that. There's only been a handful in recorded history going back even further into the 1800s. So it was a very, very rare storm, and it originated from the Southwest Gulf and then worked its way over. To answer this question, I'm trying to put your name together here. How did Milton form off Africa? It formed from the Central American gyre. It actually was not a gyre storm. So this originated from a tropical wave coming off of Africa that kind of went not undetected because we were watching it come through. It just did not have any thunderstorms with it. So if you're looking on satellite, you really couldn't see it. It got all the way over to the Gulf, and then we had the remnants of a tropical depression in the Pacific that crossed over Mexico. The two kind of got together. The moisture from that depression gave the wave life, and then Milton was born. So, and then it came back to the east in the general west to east flow. So Milton wasn't a African storm. It was, or it wasn't a gyre storm. It originated from Africa, got going in the Western Gulf, and then came back east. Alrighty, so I have a request for a motorcycle forecast. You're on the Gulf side, right, Paul? I believe you're on the Gulf side. I could be confusing you with somebody else. So, but I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation before. But anyway, here's the deal. I think it's going to be a pretty nice weekend in Florida. Now, okay. The flip side of things, I think it's going to be just a little more humid than last weekend. Remember, it kind of felt like fall, Florida fall anyway, last weekend. I think it's going to be a little more humid than that. However, we still have some drier air coming in. So we're going to fast forward this through Saturday. This is early in the morning. We'll take it further into the afternoon when most people are awake unless you're riding your bike at 3 a.m. There's 11 o'clock on Saturday, just a few clouds. The white lines are out of the north. That's the drier air kind of pulling back in. Claremont this weekend. Okay, gotcha. I love Claremont. Claremont is one of the coolest places in Florida, in my personal opinion. I'm a big fan of Lake County and West Orange. I love that part of the state. Give me that all day long. That's why I cannot wait to get the nice, cool weather in here to hit up the West Orange Trail and get out to Claremont, Mineola. Awesome stuff. Love that. That's a tangent. Clouds and rain forecast. There's 11 o'clock, and see we're doing pretty good. I think the only spot here, for Melissa's sake, I don't think we really have a good shot for rain. Now, relatively speaking, you have the best chance over the weekend, but even then, it's going to be on the drier side for you. Just a stray opportunity for a downpour. You see most of those downpours tomorrow afternoon staying off of the coast, and then that will continue for us as we move into the weekend and into early next week. I think really once we get into the next week, that's when our rain chances come up. You're right about that, Paul, for sure. But I think things are looking great in Claremont this weekend. If anybody's heading to Mount Dora, Gainesville this weekend, UCF game tomorrow night, looking good. Jacksonville tomorrow. Jacksonville Sunday for the Jags game. I think all of that stuff is going to be looking good. Alrighty, guys, I have to get my second break in because I went way too long rambling. You guys are asking awesome questions. I love this. We're having a great time on a Friday night, I think, anyway. We'll get you back to the tunes for 3 minutes. I'm going to comb the comment section, so keep those coming. On the other side of this break, I have a couple of very nerdy things to show you if I don't run out of time. If I do run out of time, we'll be back here to light it up with all that stuff next week on Monday. So let me get this break in, and I'll catch you guys in about 3 minutes. All right, I promised you guys some nerdy stuff before I left, and let me show you this. I show this from time to time, but this kind of tracks the rising motion anomalies. To get thunderstorms in the first place, you need air to rise. It cools, condenses, and then it produces rain, eventually thunderstorms, and all of that stuff. So what we're looking at, and there's a lot going on this map. Believe me, I know. So here's the deal. The green represents where air is rising, or at least the anomaly of air rising. So the darker the green, the more anomalous the rising motion is. Okay. Where we have the brown, that's where the air is sinking. Okay. So here we are over here, the United States, chilling. There we are. There's the Gulf. There's the Atlantic Ocean. There's the Caribbean. I've got a lot of lines on here now. And notice what happens as we move into October. This is through October 3rd now. And then this is through October 10th. So note what has happened. And this is likely because of the MJO pushing through to answer. There was a question about the MJO earlier that I wanted to touch on. That's why I'm showing this. There we go with the extra green. So you never like whenever there's something enhanced during like the climatological peak of something. And that's exactly when we'd be looking for the Central American gyre to come back into play. And you see a lot of that there in the Western Caribbean and Southern Gulf. So for a while now, we keep on saying the third week of September through about the third week of October is basically it. And we'll see if the Atlantic can sustain it. Now, one of the other things that we look at, I've showed this a lot, and this is part of the nerdy stuff, and we're going to get into more of that on Monday. The instability. This black line here is average. We're way down here. So the Atlantic just has not been unstable. The pressures have been higher across the tropical Atlantic, and it's just really hard for anything out in between the Caribbean and Africa to sustain themselves. So that's been the issue, thankfully for us, bad for the storms. But the Gulf is a little different. This is going to be the vertical instability. Note that there's the average line, and there we are, above average. So if something got going in there, we have really, really warm water temperatures, above average instability. Wind shear is also a little bit above, so that could become a factor. And we obviously love it if there's wind shear down there, so we can rip those storms apart. But something to watch, that there's a lot of untapped water down there, and we're starting to get a little signal anyway. At least first with the AI models, some of the ensembles are coming back on. We'll have to watch that. And again, that's our homework assignment. It's going to be very interesting to see when we talk again next Friday what things look like. So we're going to take this conversation and then push it forward to next Friday. And we're going to gradually watch this because it's the AI models are new. And this is, another test to see how they perform. So I'm watching this right alongside you guys. Because this is brand new in the weather world, and we're going to watch and see how they do together. Alrighty, guys, I'm out of time. I have to get ready for the 10 o'clock news. Thank you a ton for taking some time out of your Friday night to hang out with us and talk about the weather. We're back every Monday through Friday at 9:30. We follow News 6 tonight. If you like to get your news in a more conversational way, check out Matt and Ginger. They're on every single night at 9 o'clock on this YouTube channel and on News 6 Plus. And again, News 6 at 10 follows both of these shows coming up in just a couple of minutes. So again, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for another great week. We're going to get through this hurricane season, hopefully with no more name storms. That'd be awesome. But we'll be watching the Western Gulf and Southern Gulf over the next couple of weeks. Have a great weekend, guys. Be safe.